This video will provide you with an introduction to the icons, tabs, and data screens you will be using regularly when developing plans in NuMan Pro. Additional instructions on how to use NuMan Pro software are available on the Agricultural Nutrient Management Program's website under the Software tab, or by clicking on the yellow Help icon. Open NuMan Pro by clicking on the flask icon on your desktop. The first line across the top of the screen is the title bar with the NuMan Pro icon and name. After files have been created, the name of the currently open file will appear in the title bar. The second line is the menu bar. Drop-down menus will appear when clicking on one of the selections. The third line is a combination toolbar and navigation bar. On the left side, the toolbar contains icons for the most commonly used functions. If the mouse cursor is allowed to pause over the toolbar icons, the name of the tool will appear just below it, and a brief description of its function will appear at the bottom of the page. To the right is the navigation bar, which is used to identify and move between fields. Below the toolbar and the navigation bar is the nutrient management work area. The work area has tabbed pages that indicate the type of information to be entered. When starting a new file, all the tabs requiring data will be marked with a red X to indicate that information is needed. When a section is complete, the red X will change to a green check mark. There is no auto-save or step-by-step undo in NuMan Pro, so save frequently. We will begin on the Farmer and Consultant tab. Bold text in the data entry screen indicates required information. This is the information that must be populated in order for your status indicator to change to a green check mark. If the required information is not completed, you will be unable to print recommendations. On this page, you can see that the farmer's last name and address are required information, as is the consultant's certification number. If you are a certified farm operator, enter your nutrient management certification number. You do not need to enter a license number. If you are a University of Maryland Extension Advisor and are not yet certified, you should enter some random numbers here as a temporary placeholder. Your plan will be reviewed by a certified planner before it is delivered to the farmer. University of Maryland Extension Advisors are licensed under the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, and the license number is 2030. If you are a certified planner not employed by UME, enter your nutrient management certification number and the license number under which you operate. Now that we have completed the farmer and consultant information, we can save our work and proceed to the field page. Identification information for all fields is entered on the field page. One field equals one management unit. Drop-down lists are provided for ease of selecting county, watershed, map unit symbol, and region. Other data must be entered manually. It is necessary to find the exact location of the field to determine the watershed in which it is located, and the map unit symbol which reflects the predominant soil type within the field. Enter the tract or farm name or number and the field ID using the farmer's preferred designations whenever possible. The field ID may be alphabetical or numeric and can include hyphens and underlines, but is limited to 20 characters. Account ID numbers can be located on a tax bill or property assessment. A common error on the field page is to not enter enough digits for the account ID number. Make sure you have included the 2-digit county code at the beginning of the account ID number. Some fields managed as a single unit may have multiple or supplemental account IDs. Click the Supplemental ID button at the upper right of the field page to display space for up to 5 additional ID numbers. Select Watershed ID from the drop-down box and the watershed name will appear. Watershed ID can be determined from county maps available from MDA. Map unit symbol is not required unless you are performing a phosphorus risk assessment. Map unit symbol is based on the dominant soil type in a field and can be determined from the NRCS Web Soil Survey. Expected yield goals are also available in Web Soil Survey if a farmer does not have field-specific yield records. Region is utilized for lime recommendations. Select Coastal Plain for all counties on the Eastern Shore, Southern Maryland, and areas east of Interstate 95. Select Piedmont for Central Maryland, and Mountain for properties from the Blue Ridge Mountains in Frederick County and areas west. Use the drop-down box to select the first year in which your organization wrote a plan for the farm. Enter the field size in acres or in 1,000 square foot increments using the area button to toggle between the 2 units of measurement. You can add additional fields to this farm scenario by clicking on the Add Field button. The PMT button refers to the Phosphorus Management Tool, a phosphorus risk assessment used in Maryland when the field's fertility index value for phosphorus is greater than 150. This will be covered in a separate NuMan Pro video. Remember to save your information. Let's move on to the Soils tab. Soil test results are a critical part of nutrient management planning. Not all laboratories use the same procedures or reporting methods, so it is important to properly identify which laboratory and analysis method was used for a particular test. Lab results are then converted to Maryland Fertility Index values in the yellow boxes. Incorrect selection will result in improper conversions and invalid recommendations. Enter the appropriate laboratory from the drop-down box, the date of the test, and the test number for the individual soil sample. Enter the soil texture. This can be obtained from a previous soil test report or from the soil texture of the A horizon of the dominant soil map unit of the field. Soil analysis data may be manually input or electronically imported into the white boxes. Directions for electronically importing soil test data are available in the NuMan Pro help document previously mentioned. Do not put a 0 into any box unless the report value is in fact 0. When the Soil tab is completed, save your work and move on to the Scenarios tab. The Scenarios page is used to identify management practices for individual fields, such as type and quantity of organic material to be applied, crops to be planted, yield goal, tillage method, and legume credit. Information about manure and other organic materials is entered in the Organics grid at the top of the page, and crop information in the crop grid below. Fields receiving only commercial fertilizer, not manure or other organic materials, do not need the Organics section. In this video, we will assume no organics have been applied. We will begin with the crop portion, which is in the middle of the page. To complete the crop grid, click the Add button to the right of the crop grid to display the crop dialog box with a list of available crops. The crop list may be sorted by ID number, category, or name. Crop codes can be confusing to new users. An explanation of each crop code and its proper use can be found on the Agricultural Nutrient Management Program website under the Software tab. Scroll to and highlight the name of the desired crop. Click Add to insert the selected crop into the crop grid on the Scenarios page. When all crops have been added, enter the yield goal in the units indicated in the text box to the right of the crop name. Press the Tab or Enter keys to complete the data entry. In the bottom portion of the scenario page, select the year the crop will be grown and the type of tillage from the drop-down box. Choose conventional tillage if less than 30% of the soil surface is covered by crop residue, conservation tillage if between 30 and 70% is covered, and no tillage if more than 70% is covered. Oxides percent for lime defaults to 50%. However, the value can be edited if a lime material with a different percent oxides will be applied. If applicable, insert a legume credit, the pounds of nitrogen per acre supplied by a previous legume crop, which will become available to the current crop. In this scenario, we will assume that soybeans were grown last year, so a legume credit is called for. The two check boxes for transport pea removal and regular pea removal are explained in the section on phosphorus removal plans in the NuMan help file. Once the information on the Scenarios tab is complete, move on to the History tab. The History tab is where you can enter historical manure or other organic source application data for the previous 2 years to estimate manure credits for the nitrogen for this year. For more information on entering information into the History tab, view the short video posted under NuMan Pro Trainings videos on the Software tab of the Agricultural Nutrient Management Program website. Since our scenario does not include manure, we are ready to proceed to the Recommendations tab. The Recommendations page displays all fertilizer and organic material recommendation information. The Crop Needs grid in the upper left corner of the page displays the nitrogen, phosphate, and potash crop needs based on soil analysis results and anticipated crop yields. Any applicable nitrogen credits are also listed in this portion of the grid. In the upper central portion of the page is the scenario list where all possible scenarios you entered earlier will be shown. In this example, both corn and soybeans are listed as options. The data displayed on this page depend on the crop that has been selected from the scenarios list. Scroll, if necessary, to locate the desired scenario and place the cursor on the listing to highlight it. The page will display the recommendation for the highlighted crop. Here we have the recommendation for corn listed, and if we scroll to soybeans, the recommendations will change. The main central portion of the recommendations page contains the recommendations grid, which is divided into two parts. The upper part is for organic material recommendations, which is blank in this scenario. The lower part is for commercial fertilizer recommendations or fertilizer supplements of organic recommendations. At the far upper right corner of the page is the agronomic lime recommendation rate. At the upper right center of the page is the Organics toggle button, which currently indicates that no organics are used in this scenario. Below the Organics toggle button is the PSNT button, which is only used when corn is the primary crop. PSNT accesses the pre-side dress nitrate test dialog, where data gathered from the field may be entered. To the left of the PSNT button is the Notes button. Clicking on the Notes button will show you all of the notes associated with the selected crop, which will be printed with the recommendations. When all the recommendations for a field need no further adjustment, click the small box marked Lock at the right center of the page. Now that our data entry is complete, we are ready to print our reports. NuMan Pro recommendations and reports can be printed from the drop-down box on the File menu or by using the Print icon. A Print List dialog box will open, showing the list of currently available fields on the left. Choose fields for printing by moving them from the source list on the left into the target list on the right. Click the check boxes on the right to print some or all of the reports. Printouts are provided only for topics which have had information entered. For example, unless fertigation is used, fertigation recommendations will not print. Be advised that the software will not necessarily print fields in the order you prefer. Make sure your documents are listed in the order that you would like them to print, and double-check that the order of pages in the final plan makes sense. This completes our introduction to NuMan Pro. For additional details on the features of this software and its use under different scenarios, please review the NuMan Pro training videos available on the Agricultural Nutrient Management Program website under the Software tab.